Our
sure.
first topic is Ray Allen versus Klay Thompson. Who is the better shooter? Who's going to go first? Marz, I got the coin right here. Call it in the air. Heads or tails?
Tails.
Heads it is. Marz, you want to go first or second?
Well, it's not. Well, I lost the toss, so Zeezy picks if he goes first or second.
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that, Marz. We're not doing it like that. Don't worry about the coin. What do you want to go first or second, Marz?
Oh, okay. So if I go first now, I go second in the next round.
Yes.
I'll go second.
Okay. Zeezy, you're going first.
But
You have Klay Thompson about who's the best shooter. When you start, Zeezy, the time will start.
all right, for sure.
All right, let's get it, guys.
So when I looked at the question, I thought to myself, this is greatest, better shooter, not better player, not better career, better shooter. And when I started to look in the numbers, I started to think to myself, all right, well, I think it might be Klay. I mean, shit, Klay Thompson in his first season in the NBA shot 41% from 3 on 4 attempts. Now, he proceeded the next 7 seasons to shoot 40% or better from 3. It took Ray Allen 4 years to shoot 40% or better from 3. And Ray Allen had an 18-year career, so there's a lot of, great three-point shooting along the way, right? In 18 years, Ray Allen shot above 40% 8 times. Klay Thompson did it in his first 8 years and did it again in 2023, the year that people were calling him washed and shit, when he went out there and led the league in threes on 10.6 attempts a night and shot 41% from 3. Crazy work. When you think about some of the best shooting performances of all time, a lot of the times when you look at the top of the list, Klay Thompson's name is attached. You talk about 60 points in under 30 minutes, only player in NBA history to do so. Talk about 14 threes in an NBA game, a league record. He did that in 3 quarters. And then we could talk about 37 in a quarter on 13 of 13 from the field, 9 of 9 from 3. That is the greatest heat check in the history of this great league, bar none. So when you really start thinking about all of the things that Klay Thompson has done on the court as a shooter, and then you compare it to Ray Allen, who had an 18-year career, shit, I have no problem saying that it was Klay. No problem at all.
Ooh, I guess it's only right that we started out talking about shooting because Zeezy came out sniping. Marz, I hope you're ready to rebuttal that. The time will start when you start, Marz.
I think the conversation about shooting we have to decipher what shooting is. So you got the skill of shooting, then you got the value of shooting. They're 2 different things. But I think we can all agree shooting is definitely more than threes. We understand Bruce Bowen is not a better shooter than Kobe Bryant, despite 3-point percentages. We also know that the one universal indicator of shooting historically has been free throw shooting. It's a shot that never changes. From 1950 to 2024, it's the same shot. For their careers, Ray Allen shoots 89%, Klay Thompson's at 86%. In the playoffs, 88 for Ray, 85 for Klay. The best 3-year stretch Klay Thompson has is 90%, but Ray's at 92%. But that's just the little tip of the iceberg. I think the most important thing when you talk about the skill of shooting is how many shots can you generate for yourself. And that's where you really see the discrepancy start to show his head. For his career, 7.3% of Klay's threes are unassisted. For his career, 16% of Ray's are unassisted. So Klay Thompson is not generating his own threes. If you look at the peak of Klay, the most he's ever generated is threes, 9.2% of the time. Ray Allen peaked at 22% of the time. And that's just for threes. If you want to go jump shots in general, Ray Allen was creating 40% of his own jump shots at his peak. From 2000 to 2006, more than 40% of his jump shots were self-created. Klay Thompson peaked, and when I say peak, I mean peaked at 21%. 21% of Klay Thompson's jump shots were created by himself. He was someone who routinely relied on other people to create shots for him. So yes, he shot 40% from 3 early on in his career. And yes, he shot 40% from 3 last year. But he peaked at 9% of his threes being self-created. And for his best ever stretch of jump shots created, 1 out of every 5 jump shots were created. Ray Allen was creating 2 out of every 5 jump shots for himself.
That was a heck of a round 1 to this first topic. Let's get round 2 going. Zeezy, bring the heat, brother. Bring the heat. You were muted. Okay, start now.
Right. So we're talking about peaks. I knew Marz was going to bring up some numbers that nobody in the chat even remotely thought could possibly be brought up. But he did. So to his credit, there it is. When I think about peaks, though, when I think about these two, Ray Allen in his peak for the regular season, I think his peak threes attempted, I think was in the 06 season at 8 attempts a night. and he shot 41%, 42%, I want to say. Klay at his peak in the regular season shot 10.6, as I mentioned, in 2023. And what did he do? He shot the same exact percent as Ray Allen did during his peak. So when you really think about it and you bottle all of that up, you could talk about the shot creation aspect. When I look at Klay Thompson and his versatility as a shooter, I think to myself, well, we can talk about him as a first option. You talk about as a second option and a third option throughout his entire career. Even though his first option sample size is very, very small. I remember Klay Thompson in the 2016 playoffs against the Portland Trail Blazers in a series in which Curry played, I think, 1 or 2 of those games. Klay Thompson walked away from that series averaging 31 a game on 50-50-90 shooting splits. That's a small sample size for a first option Klay Thompson. Then when we talk about second option Klay Thompson, as I mentioned before, 37 and a quarter as a second option. Third option, Klay Thompson gave you the record for threes and 60 in 3 quarters as a third option. So you can plug in Klay at pretty much any one of those options, first option, second option, third option, and he can still give you efficient shooting. We can talk about how he gets the shot or what way he puts the ball in the air. Fuck that, bro. Fuck that. Klay Thompson shoots the ball more than Ray Allen does and at a better clip.
Good points. Good points. Marz, it's on you for the second round. Let's cook. Let's cook. When you get started at the time, we'll start with you.
I'm going to wait till round 3 to address all of that because it's a whole diatribe of things you have to get into with that. But I want to talk about next, once again, with the skill of shooting, the importance of shot quality and how that affects your numbers. Because obviously we understand percentages can be determined by a bunch of things, including your ability, but including your teammates' ability to get you good looks, especially in Klay's case, because obviously we know only 10% of his threes are self-created. So I did a little bit of research, did a little bit of digging. Since 2015, Klay has played 11,000 minutes with Steph Curry, and he shot 43% from 3 in those minutes. Wonderful. But in the 6,600 minutes he's played without Steph, he shot 39%. Interesting. Then I looked at Klay's prime. I was like, okay, let's look at Klay's prime, because obviously he's declined in recent years. From 2015 to 2019, Klay shot 44% with Steph in 8,600 minutes, but he shot 38% without Steph in 4,000 minutes. So yes, he has those games against Portland where he goes crazy, but there's a 6% difference between Klay Thompson shooting with and without Steph. So I was thinking, does Ray Allen have a similar imprint like that? So I was like, who's the best playmaker Ray Allen has played with? Rajon Rondo. So in the 9,000 minutes Rajon Rondo played with Ray Allen shot 41% from 3. But then without Rondo, in the same time frame in Boston, Ray Allen shot 40.7% from 3 without Rajon Rondo. Ray Allen is a guy who doesn't rely on other people to create him good looks, so he can shoot just as well with and without anyone. Klay Thompson, the numbers would suggest that's not the case. The eye test would suggest that's not the case. But yeah, we can just blindly use percentages and ignore the context of them. That's fine.
Okay, y'all. That was the first 2 rounds of this first topic. So far, I love what I'm hearing. The people love what they're hearing. This third round of this topic, I need y'all to bring it home. Let's go, Zeezy. When you start, the time will start.
Marz, I can't tell if I'm looking at Marz or Victor Wembanyama with the way that you are reaching like a motherfucker right now, bro. I don't understand what's going on. Don't deduct points for cussing. I'll tone it down, but let's get back on point here. What we're talking about here with me is what you see with the eye test. Y'all know how Klay is at the end of the day. Y'all know what y'all see when y'all look at the box score. Marz can dig as far into the advanced stats and true shooting percentage and 16 feet and 20 feet and with Rondo and with whatever. I don't care. All right, this is a guy in Klay Thompson. When we talk about consistency from 3, 8 straight years of 40% or better from 3 in comparison to Ray Allen, who couldn't even get to 40% in his first 3 years. So what are we talking about here? Consistently, Klay Thompson has given you high volume and great efficiency from 3 consistently for his career. As a matter of fact, he has more seasons of shooting above 40% from 3 in his career so far than Ray Allen does in 18 years. Ray had 8 seasons of it. Klay had 9. So you can point to whichever angle you want to point to, but at the end of the day, what the eye test tells you, it may not tell you something, Marz, but it tells me what I know, and that's Klay Thompson is a better shooter than Ray Allen at the end of the day. You can talk about catch and shoot, transition, pull up, whatever. Klay Thompson's got that man beat on percentages and attempts. There's no other way around this, but you, of course, would dig into, NBA.com or Basketball Reference or whatever, but just stick with what it is, Marz.
Marz, let's bring it home. Let's bring it home. When you ready, the time will start. Let's get it.
For 3 rounds, Zeezy has said Klay shot 40% a bunch of times. That's what he's done. But I wanted to bring up this point in round 3, the importance of relative to error. In 2015, the start of Klay's prime, 19 players shot at least 10 threes per 100 possessions. By the end of Klay's prime in 2019, that number had grown to 28. In Ray Allen's prime, when he was shooting 10 threes per 100 possessions, he was one of 2 players to do so. He was shooting 43% from 3 while doing that. The other player was Jason Williams, by the way, shooting 29%. That was the equivalent of an 130 offensive rating in the year 2002. By 2006 and 2007, Ray Allen was one of 4 players to do it. He was shooting the most volume in the league and some of the highest percentages in the league. And the key factor and why this is important is because of the impact it has on team offense based on the era in which you play. Zeezy loves pointing to 40% from 3 because he knows that that's the nice little arbitrary number people like. But we all know that 40% from 3 creates more value in 2000 than it does in 2015. You know why? Because offenses around the league have gotten better, which means 120 offensive rating means more in 2000 than it does in 2015. So Ray Allen's threes in the stretch of years where he was shooting 8.4 attempts per 100 and shooting 43% was generating an 129 offensive rating at a time where the league average was 104. Ray Allen threes were a plus 25 offensive rating relative to what the league was producing, and that's the reason why the 2001 Milwaukee Bucks had a better offense than the Kobe Shaq Lakers, spearheaded by Ray Allen shooting. Klay Thompson can't match that level of impact because he's in a league with much more volume shooters. So yes, you can say Klay Thompson shoots more and he shoots a good percentage, but when it's relative to what they were doing at the time, Ray wipes.
Yo, JD, can you drop that poll in the chat? Next topic I have it right here, is the 2000 Spurs versus the 2017 Warriors. Marz, you have the Spurs. Zeezy, you have the Warriors. Marz, I believe you're going first now, right? You went first. Yep. Okay. So without further ado, let's keep this going. Also, I want to say this, y'all. W basketball. W basketball. Let's get it. Let's get it. This is exciting. Hell of a debate. Good job, fellas. Let's keep the heat going. Marz, the time will start when you start. Let's kick it.
Obviously, you guys can see this is the one I was complaining about. But I do believe when you talk about comparing teams, it's crucial to show consistency. And when you talk about the Spurs in the 2000s, the 2003 Spurs are statistically the 9th best postseason defense ever. That's a team that won a title carried by Tim Duncan. They followed that into 2004, being the best regular season defense of the three-point era, post-1980. If you don't remember, 2004 is the year that mighty Detroit Pistons team existed. The Spurs had a better defense than them that year. And then in 2005, they ended up having the best defense in the league again, while being one of the 5 best defenses in the postseason every single year. The reason why I make this point and I emphasize it so much is because the KD Warriors, Zeezy will talk about 2017, but the KD Warriors never showed that level of consistency on defense. In 2017, they were number 2 in defense. That was great. But then by 2018, it was number 11. And by 2019, it was number 13. The 2000 Spurs built their identity on an all-time great defense where they outperformed some of the all-time greatest defenses in the playoffs and in the regular season. And they did that for a prolonged stretch of time. The Warriors were not able to match that level of dominance on the defensive side of the ball. And as we all know, defense does win championships. And that is why the Spurs were able to maintain at the top and be relevant for as long as they were. In a Western Conference that was a gauntlet at the time. There is a reason why there's only 2 teams to beat the Kobe Shaq Lakers while both were in their prime. One is the Spurs and one is the Pistons. What do they both have in common? 2 of the best defenses we've ever seen. Only one seems to get that recognition, though. I wonder why. I mean, there may be some bias to it, but yeah, defense is definitely the pillar in which the Spurs are better than the Warriors.
Okay. That's round 1 for Marz of this topic. Zeezy, here goes your round 1. Let's get it, bro. When you start, the time will start.
All right, off record. That was cute, Marz. I know you ain't. I know you ain't even want to defend this team, but you did your best. I ain't gonna lie. Look, but when you look at the 2017 Warriors, chat, what are we talking about, bro? We're talking about the 2017 Warriors and the 2000 Spurs. The 2017 Warriors are a team not only with 2 All-NBA caliber players, scratch that, 2 MVP caliber players in Steph Curry and Kevin Durant. You have arguably the 2nd best shooter in the league at the time in Klay Thompson, best two-way 2-guard in the league maybe, and the best defender in the league in Draymond Green. Marz talked about how their defense was number 2 in the league in 2017. He is right. But then he started talking about 2018 and 2019. We're not talking about 2018 and 2019, nor are we talking about 03, 05, or the 07 Spurs. And even if we are, it doesn't matter here because what we're talking about really is the Golden State Warriors had the number 1 offense in the league, number 2 defense in the league, and number 3 third highest net rating in NBA history. This is a team that when we're talking about constructual offenses and offensive schemes, or however you want to call it, there is nothing that the San Antonio Spurs in the year 2000 can do on offense that would absolutely bamboozle the mind of an opposing team's defense in the way in which you have, if you're sitting there looking at Kevin Durant with the ball in his hand, Steph on the wing, and Klay in the corner. Your head's on a swivel because you don't know what the hell to do. If you want to put your attention and your focus on Steph, KD, Klay, you got to watch out for Dre and his passing and all of that. The Warriors team has too much on offense to even be compared to.
Had to cut you off there, Zeezy. You were cooking though. Before we get into the second round of this topic, I do want to let y'all know that Marz did win that first poll. I forgot to mention that. My bad, y'all. Marz, second round of topic 2. Time starts when you start. Let's get it.
Beyond consistency, I think the second most important thing to do when judging teams is talk about the competition in which they faced. The 2005 Suns are the best relative regular season offense of all time for a team that got past the first round, and they're also the best playoff offense of all time. The Spurs dismantled that Suns team in 5 games, obviously. This is a team that went against the top 5 defense in Memphis. They had a +10 relative offense relative to their regular season performance. Against the top 10 defense in Dallas, this same Suns team had a +4 relative offense. But then when they ran up against the Spurs, they underperformed their regular season expectations. That's a big part of the reason why the Spurs were able to beat them. But that's not the only team they faced that was elite competition. They also played the Seattle Supersonics, who were the number 2 offense in the league that year. And some people might scoff at the Seattle Supersonics. But guess what? That Seattle team had the same relative offense as the best team that KD Warriors team ever played, the 2018 Rockets, a +6.1 relative offensive rating. The best team the Warriors ever played was just on par with the Seattle Supersonics offensively. And guess what? That Spurs team held that Seattle team 5.5 points below their regular season standard offensively. And that's another reason why they beat that team. But that's all about what offensive teams they stopped. Who did they play in the finals? The 05 Pistons, an all-time great defense, who no one was able to score more than 1 point per possession better than that Pistons defense. What did the Spurs do? Perform 2 points better than expected against that Pistons defense. When you talk about competition, the Warriors never played a top 25 offense of all time in any 3 of their rounds. Any 3 years of KD, they never played a top 25 offense. They never played a top 25 defense. The Spurs did it in 3 rounds in 1 year. In 1 year, they played 3 of those teams in 1 year.
Let's go, Zeezy. Round 2. Let's cook. Let's cook.
Well, all of that is great, Marz. I'm actually glad that you were able to pull up the statistics of the other team. When you look at the Golden State Warriors, they went 16-1 in the postseason, and that one loss that they had came at the expense of the Cleveland Cavaliers putting up an NBA record 24 threes made to beat that Warriors team. Ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate. The Cleveland Cavaliers had to make 24 threes to even get a game on this team in the postseason. Had that not happened, they would have went undefeated. You might as well call them the Undertaker. What are we talking about here? So to your point about the San Antonio Spurs, I get that you could say that they matched up against top 25 offenses or whatever. The Golden State Warriors lost 1 damn game off of the biggest heroic effort that you could possibly sum up as the opposing team going up against this unit. We're talking about big 3 in Steph Curry, KD, and Klay Thompson. Steph and KD both in the regular season averaged 25 points per game, respectively. Klay Thompson averaged about 22, 23 as well on the side. You had Draymond Green doing his thing as well. Kevin Durant, mind you, Kevin Durant in 2017 is probably the best argument that you can make for him as a defender in terms of him actually improving. He averaged about 2 blocks a game that year, if I'm not mistaken. And then we go to the playoffs in which Steph and KD both averaged 27 a game throughout the entire run. And then to the point where we get to the NBA Finals, and like I said, you have both of them going shot for shot with each other, game 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what are we talking about?
Last round of this topic. As soon as this round is over, we're gonna drop the poll. Y'all make sure to vote. Vote quick. You only got 1:30 to do so. Vote on the points made in this debate. Don't vote on your preference. Marz, let's get it.
I mean, yeah, it's nice to say they went 16-1, which they absolutely did. They did beat the Portland Trail Blazers, the Utah Jazz, a Spurs team that had Kawhi get hurt in game 1, and then they beat the Cavs 4-1. And like you said, that 24 threes heroic effort from the Cavs is their 1 loss. Yes, I agree. But like I said, once you go look at the teams in which they faced, Yes, 16-1 is possible, but that's what happens when you never play an all-time great offense and you never go up against an all-time great defense. The Spurs can't go 16-1 when they play the best offense of all time, another offense that's on par with this 18 Rockets team. The only team that sent that Houston team, that sent that Warriors team to 7 games is the Seattle Supersonics level offense. That's the only team that's ever managed to do it. So this Golden State dynasty that was so unbeatable nearly came faltering down against the team that was just as good offensively as the Seattle Supersonics in 05. And what did the Spurs do? They dealt with Seattle. Because guess what? The Spurs are a team that just win games by any means necessary. If you win a series in 7 games or you win a series in 4 games, at the end of the day, you're holding that Larry O'Brien trophy. So yes, they didn't go 16-1, but they beat much tougher competition. They didn't go up against injured teams, and they did it in a way that was sustainable for a prolonged stretch. KD was only there for 3 years, but the Spurs were competing for titles in 99, which isn't part of the 2000s, so I haven't spoke about it once. But then 03, 05, 07, while being a top seeds in their conference every single year. That sustainability is something that the Warriors struggled to deal with once KD was gone. Once KD was gone, it was 2020, terrible. 2021, missing the playoffs. This sustainability and what made the Spurs so dominant was every year they were in the title fight, and they did it against greater competition.
Zeezy, it's time to bring it on home, brother. Let's get to it, man. When you start, go ahead.
So let me get this straight. Are we talking about who's the better dynasty, or are we talking about who the better team is? Either way, if the Spurs were so good, how come they didn't go back-to-back Marz like the Warriors did in 2017 and 2018? How about that? That's crazy work. But you want to talk, and then the fact of the matter is, in 2019, even if Kevin Durant's healthy and Klay Thompson is healthy, do the Raptors beat the Warriors that year, or do they win 3 straight? Interesting. We could talk about, we would be talking about the Warriors doing something that the Spurs didn't do, which is go back-to-back in 2000 or win 3 straight. That's something that they didn't do. Now, let me ask you this question. If we're talking about the competition relative to the competition that they went up against in the playoffs, is that the Warriors' fault that they had to go up against the Jazz and the Pelicans and the Spurs or whoever? Like, is that their fault that they had to go up against the Spurs? And then you talk about Kawhi Leonard. That's the dumbest argument that I've ever heard in my life. Kawhi Leonard going down in game 1 cost the Spurs the entire series. So the series is over after 1 game? Crazy work. I find it hard to believe that the Warriors wouldn't, even if the Spurs were to win game 1, they wouldn't figure out a way to turn everything around. But that's just me. You're talking about a team that, like I said before, you could talk about the San Antonio Spurs and their consistency, but the fact is they weren't consistent enough to even go back-to-back. The Warriors were consistent enough to do so. And when they did it, it took, yes, the Rockets missing 27 threes or what have you. But then when they got to the finals, they went ahead and swept LeBron James. So the way I look at it is the Warriors were able to do something that the Spurs weren't, which is to go back-to-back.
Oh, man, JD, drop that poll. Drop the poll in the chat. Y'all make sure to vote. I will remind you, you can always vote after the next 4 weeks. Let's get these votes in. Let's get these votes tallied. This round is for all the chips. We got 2003 draft versus 1984 draft. Which draft was better? Marz, you got 84. Zeezy, you got 2000. Opposite.
Yeah,
opposite.
Wait,
my bad.
It says which draft is better or which draft is more impactful?
I got you right here. Okay, I'll make sure to do it right. My bad. I got y'all. It says 1984 versus 2003. Which class had a better impact on the NBA? 84 or 2003? Appreciate y'all checking me on that. It says Marz, you have the 84 class.
That is incorrect.
I don't.
Well, okay, that's just the information I got. If that's not right, y'all know better than me. So Marz, you got the 2003. Zeezy, you got 84.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's the information I got in front of me. Somebody sent me that today, so I'm just reading off, doing my job. Okay, Zeezy, you're going first, correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Yep. 84 draft. Hey, y'all. Last one. This is for all the chips. Zeezy, you got the second round. Marz, you got the first round. Zeezy, when you start talking, the clock will pop up. Let's cook, brother. Let's cook.
All right, so for the 84 draft, the question's asking which one was the more impactful. And honestly, this is literally turning into LeBron versus Jordan, but we're not going to me and Marz ain't going to do that. We're talking about the draft as a whole, all right? So 84 is top heavy for sure. Don't get me wrong. You have Michael Jordan. Don't even need to explain that. Hakeem Olajuwon, arguably the greatest defensive player of all time and a consensus top 10 player of all time. You have John Stockton, a consensus top 30 player and all-time leader in assists and all-time leader in steals by a healthy margin. You have Charles Barkley, the round mound to rebound, I believe number 5 in offensive rebounds all time, made it to an NBA Finals, won an MVP. Only reason that he lost is because he ran into Jordan, but it is what it is. When you think about the rest of the class, though, it's not as deep as 96, but they do have some good pieces in that mix, right? You got Alvin Robertson, who was a one-time depoy, right? One of the best perimeter defenders in the league at the time. Otis Thorpe, Sam Perkins. They had pretty solid guys on the back end, but a very, very all-time ranked top heavy draft in Michael Jordan, Hakeem, Stockton, and Barkley at the 4. When I look at 03, I think LeBron, yeah, Wade for sure, Melo, okay, Chris Bosh, what was he, one-time All-NBA? What are we talking about here? And then from then, with Darko Milicic, nah, what are we talking about here? The top heaviness of the 84 draft just clears the 03 draft. They may have started super teams, that's great, but we got 2 guys who were in the top 10 all-time consensus in Michael Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon. It's 84.
Marz, Zeezy's applying pressure, bro. Let's get it, man. Let's get it.
I think what's important to discuss when we talk about impact is what is impact. For me, it's history, it's legacy, it's the future ramifications, it's how it's changed the landscape of the NBA. So yeah, Zeezy eloquently said why the 84 draft class had some all-time great players. But I'm gonna start with the number 1 pick. I'm gonna work my way down. So obviously LeBron James, we know he was being called the chosen one. I mean, I know everyone's seen the interview where the guy says, if you want a first ballot Hall of Famer, you will be considered a bust. Never before have we seen someone come in with that level of scrutiny, that level of expectation, and then he exceeded them. A 4-time MVP, 4-time Finals MVP, all-time scoring leader. He's the first Olympic men's player to hold the flag for Team USA. That's history. That's legacy. That's impact. That's from the 2003 draft class. We've never seen something like that. Big time talk shows like the one you're watching right now, like ESPN, like Undisputed, like First Things First. They built their foundation of talking about one man, LeBron James. What draft class does he come from? 2003. Look at how we spoke about Bronny James in Summer League. Why did we talk about him so much? Because of LeBron James. Where did he come from? 2003. Everything changed for sports media, from the way we talk about the NBA, from the way anyone has a voice on anything on June 26, 2003, when that man from Akron, Ohio stepped foot in the NBA on an NBA team. That is when everything changed. The league was never the same before or after. That man's imprint on the game is more than just Hakeem being top 10 all time. That's great, but what did he leave behind? What did he leave behind? LeBron James is going to leave a world where people were employed for talking about LeBron James. Skip Bayless is 962 years old, solely employed to talk about one man. LeBron James created jobs for people. That's impact from the 2003 class.
Round 2, let's kick it off, Zeezy. I'm not going to stop this momentum. Let's go.
I didn't think that Marz was going to spend the whole damn round talking about LeBron, but I was expecting you to start talking about the other guys. Come on now. I mean, when we talk about 84, we're talking about Jordan, Barkley, Stockton, Hakeem. All 4 of those guys were on the 1992 Dream Team. We're talking about impact, ladies and gentlemen. Name one Olympic team that had a higher point differential than 1992. I'll wait. Oh, shit. None of them. Anyway, let me get back on point. When we're talking about impact, Marz, there is more than just one man in a draft that is making up that impact. With Michael Jordan, I don't even need to go down the list, but I can if I want to. 10-time scoring champion, cool. 6-time MVP, 5-time MVP, 6-time Finals MVP, 6-time champion. We can do that. Hakeem, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Finals MVP, 2-time champion, right? 1-time MVP. Charles Barkley, 1-time MVP. John Stockton, 5-time all defensive type of player in John Stockton right there, along with the best assist man in basketball for the next 15 years straight, right? So what we're talking about here is essentially what draft had the biggest impact. The 03 draft class outside of LeBron and D Wade and Bosh teaming up, that was cool. That was cool. What Melo do? What Darko do? Kyle Korver was in the second round, I believe. That's cool. That's cool. Any of those other 3 guys outside of LeBron have a bigger impact than any of the 3 guys I named outside of Jordan in the league? I wonder. I seriously do. You can make the argument for D Wade for sure, but where does Carmelo rank for y'all all time? How about Chris Bosh? I'll wait for sure.
I'm not going to slow you down, Marz. Keep it rolling.
I feel like Zeezy forgot we had 3 rounds. LeBron deserved the night, so LeBron deserved the whole round. It's LeBron James. But once again, I think what makes the 03 draft class the most impactful, and you skipped over it, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh teaming up. Yes, it's not just, 3 guys teamed up. That changed the future of the league. Player empowerment became a big thing because of those 3 teaming up. Once again, we talk about impact. Why did KD feel comfortable to go to the Warriors? Because LeBron, Wade, and Bosh made it possible for players to decide their own destiny. That is impact. That is changing the way the game is played. When they teamed up in 2010, 3 members from what draft class? 2003. They teamed up. They took matters into their own hands. Toronto's not building around me correctly. Cleveland's not building around me correctly. Hey, D-Wade, do you know what we should do? We should team up and take things into our own hands. Forget these GMs. No one was doing that before those 3 did it. No one was doing it before the 03 draft class came in and changed the way players and teams look at things. What did Iman Shumpert say? Those 3 ruined the league. Now, whether you like it or not, the impact is there. Kawhi going to LA and then saying, I'm only coming if you get me a second star. What does that mean? That puts pressure on these front offices. Does Kawhi do that without the decision in 2010? I don't think so, because no one was making those decisions before. Those 3 from 2003 decided to step up and make the change. It's a big reason why guys like Oscar Robertson are so impactful, because they are the ones who are willing to take the stand. It's great. Oscar Robertson was the first one to sue the NBA for free agency. And who was the first group of people to really take free agency into their own hands? Those 3 from 2003. So yeah, you can say, where do they rank all time? That's fine, but all-time ranking, you said John Stockton's 30th all time. I guess what? They're going to talk about that big 3 decision more than they're going to talk about John Stockton. I promise you they will.
Holy mackerel. This is a fire debate. This is your last round of your last topic of the day. You two fellas have one job, and that's to make this round felt. Let's get it, Zeezy.
So the question that I have for you, Marz, is you're talking about the 03 draft class, and you're talking about Wade, Bosh, and LeBron like they were the first ones to ever shake up free agency in terms of a super team being formed. No, if you want to make that argument, you might as well make it for the 96 draft class with Ray Allen, right? Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce with that trio right there. That's what shook the league up. That's what helped have LeBron, Wade, and Bosh say, hey, you know what? Maybe we should team up together. That would be fun. That might be nice. And of course, it led to the Clippers' failed attempt at winning a championship. You brought up Kawhi and Paul George, like that shit worked out. That was terrible. That shit turned into a dumpster fire by year 3. So I guess if you want to say that they started that shit, what did they exactly start? Who helped reciprocate that outside of Kevin Durant going to the Warriors? No one. So it's an interesting point, but whatever. Let me get back to the 84 draft. When we're talking about impact on the league, the 84 draft class had Michael Jordan, arguably the most influential player of all time, helped influence and helped globalize the league. All the European players that y'all are seeing in this year's Olympics, right? You notice how when you look at the 92 Dream Team and all the players that they went up against in Olympic competition that were still in the league, right? In comparison to this year, where did all that start from? Maybe the impact of the 92 Dream Team, right? Maybe the impact of what that team was able to do, along with Michael Jordan helping pave the way for players to understand, hey, look, you can be the greatest player of all time for one team. Oh, I'm out of time. God damn it. Fuck.
JD, drop the poll. JD, drop the poll.
Damn.
Somebody got a fire extinguisher.
Damn.
Somebody got a fire. Go ahead, Marz. No, you got it, Marz. You got
my time started.
Wait. Not yet. I don't know, JD. My bad. I said drop the poll. I meant to say get the clock ready. Marz, you got it. Whenever you start, he'll start. This is fire.
Yeah, I think Zeezy is talking about Melo. What did Melo do? What did Melo win? I mean, I think you just wasted your last round, to be honest. But I want to talk about, because once again, what I say about impact, storylines, what ifs, hypotheticals, all of those things that go into the impact of a draft class. The Darko Milicic Melo debacle situation is something that will be spoken about for decades. We speak about it on this very platform. What if Melo went number 2 to Detroit? Because we all know Carmelo is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen, 28,000 points. But what is it we talk about with Melo? He never won a ring. But we all know where he could have won a ring. And guess what? Chauncey Billups has spoke about it. Rasheed Wallace has spoke about it. We spoke about it on this platform. We only talk, and what draft class is that? 2003. Darko going number 2 is a stain. It's a bad thing. It's a bad pick. But the impact is left is all the conversations we're able to have about the 2003 draft class. It's crazy. You never even brought up Sam Bowie going over Michael Jordan. You know why? Because even though it's crazy, just like Darko, no one cares. But you know what they do care about? Darko going number 2, because we know the ramifications it had for Carmelo Anthony. And when we talk about guys like Carmelo and D-Wade, they might not rank as high as Hakeem all time, but Carmelo gets the respect from all of his peers, just like Hakeem does. Carmelo is one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen, just like Hakeem is. Now, he might not have all the accolades, and that's great, but when we talk about impact and legacy, it goes beyond accolades. It goes beyond what you've achieved. It goes beyond how people remember you. And Carmelo is someone who will be remembered forever. Darko Milicic will be remembered forever too, for maybe the wrong reasons. But hey, if you're going to be a bust, at least be one someone talks about. Sam Bowie don't get spoken about, because no one cares about the 84 draft class like they care about the 83 draft, like they care about the 2003 draft.
Now you can drop the poll, JD. Now you can drop the poll. Somebody bring out a fire extinguisher. Yo, fellas, you guys did a hell of a job today. Thank you guys for showing up. Do any of you have anything you want to say before I boot you off the stage?
The chat saw the topic that I didn't want. I feel like I argued it valiantly. I feel like watch it back. You'll see. I think I made some good points. But Zeezy, you did good. Shout out to you. Now that we don't have to go up against each other anymore, I'll show you some more love. Everything I said was obviously in jest. I don't think you don't know basketball or anything. Obviously,
Zeezy, you called you the Wizards.
I know what he said.
Yeah, but we all know it's just building up suspense for the showmanship, man.
Look, I'm not gonna sit up here and cap like Marz ain't that nigga, bro. Y'all already know I show love to everybody at PC, who I know these like Ox said at the start of this, these are some of the best debaters on the internet, bro. On the internet. So me going up against Marz today, they knew what they were doing. I may have lost that last one. I wish I had an extra round. I really do, but it is what it is.
Right.
Marz, we gave you a good run for your money, brother.
No doubt.
Good. I enjoyed it.
Appreciate you, fellas, man. We'll catch y'all next time. Y'all stick around, vote on these next battles, get in the comment section. Check y'all next time. All right, Zeezy. All right, Marz.
It's the player choice way. Yeah, them boys don't get it started. The player choice way. Yeah, the player choice way. Come and switch lanes into the player choice way.